The following episode of the Carnival of Randomness is sponsored by an important message to you, the people, from Upsitnik and Associates. Every day there are forces that are taking from you, stealing from you. Your money, your time, your freedom. Immense faceless corporations, banks, credit card companies, insurance providers, government agencies, this list goes on and on. When you are under attack and facing crisis, turn to us, Upsitnik and Associates, attorneys for you, the people. When every day becomes a battle, we can advise and assist. We have been advocates for 40 years. Email us through upsitnikslaw.com or call us at 1-866-391-3299 or reach out to us through Upsitnik and Associates on Facebook for a prompt, no obligation communication and consultation. Don't be pushed around.
Hello, everybody. Carnival of Randomness is off and on the road, and here we are on City Alpha 6.
No, remember,
Huh?
6 done blow up.
What?
We thought it was 6, we're on 5.
We're on 5.
Yeah.
It's Jeff. It's Bauman.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, that's who you were. What happened was, all the guys, we heard a rumor a couple weeks ago that you were buying a lacrosse team in Erie.
No.
And that we were worried they were going to build a wall and not let you back into New York.
So I actually had to go and talk to a couple contractors, make sure it's definitely, if they're going to do it, build it right. You got to go down at least 6 feet. I know they say 4 for the freezing, but definitely want to go down 6 because even though you got a wall, people can tunnel under it. And I figure 6 feet. If you can go
after 4.
Right, if you can go under 6 feet, you deserve to be here. So
Right.
Let them in.
Yeah, and everything. I mean, Rob and Mike went down to try to look for you. Now we have to look for them after this. We can't find them. Is there a Twizzler factory maybe around that we have
I'm
to
not
look?
shocked. They probably hit Jamestown and just kind of went crazy.
And then Dave's going down for legal matters.
Well, no, the one, they said, if they finally manage to build a wall, it'll take Congress 3 years to figure out what color to fucking paint it.
But then John went to Queensryche and he's at a lake today, and that's the only city lake.
A lake.
Hey,
But yeah,
enjoy it.
Queensryche
It's
can actually.
one of the 4 days
Exactly.
in New York. You're actually going to be able to
It's
enjoy.
like, hey,
it.
it's summer today, tomorrow, and
Oh, it's muddy though.
Monday.
Water by the canal is mud because I've been out there the last couple of days.
Yeah.
But one of the things it's like I was thinking about summer now. Like when we were kids, it's so much easier. What did I do? I washed dishes, then went to movies and friendlies afterwards. My stuff, Life was so much less complicated.
The one thing I will say, I had this conversation about when we were kids and now kids of today, and when we were kids, you were outside all the time.
That's what I mean.
And I know everybody says that, but I'd get up, get on a dirt bike, I'd be gone all day. Come back, playing football on the street, whatever.
Well, that's what it was. Even because I'm not, as much as experienced as you two are, but being inside was kind of like a punishment.
Yeah.
I saw
it was
ads
basically
when I
get on
started
our-
seeing ads about telling kids to go out and play.
Yeah,
I
why
would
do you
get
have to have a
up in
commercial?
summer, and my mom would say, "Well, dinner's at 5. See ya."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We would get the, basically the unspoken rule was when the street lights come on, go home.
I mean, the thing is now, though, the kids get on, the PlayStations, the Xbox, whatever, and they're playing a game with 6 of their friends that are all over the town, county, whatever. And back in the day, it was more of a, you look outside. If anyone was outside, you head out. If nobody was out there, you were the first one, and you went knocking on doors.
And
exactly.
we did. We would organize, by Lions Park, baseball games, football games. Somebody would go get the drinks. We'd get our teams, meet other teams. Your little self-reliance and everything to get everything. And no parents did it for us. We didn't have organized Little League.
Yeah, and then when you were done for that day, it was like, okay, tomorrow, hey, we're going to do this. Everybody meet up here.
Yeah.
And there was no cell phones or instant messenger, Facebook to coordinate.
No, it's like I'll go
all this.
knock on his door.
Yeah,
The hashtag was the £sign back in the day.
But it was, to me, it's different. I guess, you can look back, I'm sure in 20, 30, 40 years, the kids that are today that are going to be adults go, oh, it was so much different when I was a kid. And kids today, I don't know what the hell they're going to be doing. But, each their own. Everybody, every
That
kind
brings
of
up
time
a couple
frame is a little
interesting
different.
things. And one of the things you mentioned, internet, good, bad, and ugly. What would you say about that? The whole internet thing.
I think it's a personal responsibility. I would say it's overall, it's good. But if you're I do think it creates. How would I word this? I kind of put an analogy to like McDonald's, right? You show up, I want a hamburger, you have it in like a second, right? So people just, the expectation is now. I want it now.
It's turned instant gratification.
Yeah, but it's you. So you have that instant gratification with the internet. Like you want to find something, you go to, whatever search engine you're going to use.
Unless it's a Gothic Toad CD or
album. Then you can search every.
It costs me a lot of money to make sure we're not on that.
Well, it's amazing in this age. It's still buried.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's cost me a lot of money, but it's definitely helped with my sanity.
Well, I've always likened it this way. I told somebody, I said, take your smartphone. If you could be transported back to the 50s, how would you explain it to somebody? It's like, in my hand, I hold a device that can access the wealth of knowledge of the universe, and we use it to look at pictures of cats.
And the other part about
that, but that's to my point. It's the instant gratification. It's the how do you get your news, headline kind of. People just they look at the whatever the description is in the headline of the search. They immediately hit it. Maybe read 3 or 4 sentences, and they're done. Yeah. I'm like, that's where it's bad, because if you're only going to one source, you're only getting one view. I think the internet has also negatively impacted news.
Oh,
I can remember, you'd be home and your parents would have Walter Cronkite.
I was going to say Walter Cronkite, the man who wouldn't tell a story until he had 3 confirmed trusted sources.
Right, but you would get news, right? You would get news, not opinions. You'd get news.
Or let us
get somebody
change that
reporting
for a second too
on the news.
Whereas you look for the news, it's what the Kardashians are doing.
I was just going to say, it's like, ooh, Cardi B is in a beef with somebody. Like,
but that's the part. That's the part to me. Yeah, it's disheartening. But it's also really freaking funny. I mean, you sit back.
It's the internet train wreck.
But yeah, you sit back and you're like, I cannot believe the amount of people that base their decisions off of what some stupid fucking celebrity is saying. Like, give me a fucking break. Well, really?
And because you see it, because, you see these clickbait articles, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
Just, Khloe Kardashian wears the one thing you need to buy this summer. Why? Who the fuck cares?
We've made people billionaires.
Oh, God, yeah.
Billionaires off of reality TV.
Yeah.
Reality TV has made people billionaires. And now you have, not everybody, but you have a subset of people that think, here's how I'm going to make my money. I'm going to be an Instagram star. I'm going to be a Facebook whatever. I want to be on reality.
Look at me.
And they end up doing stupid shit. And then they get hurt, and then you're supposed to feel bad for them.
Well, remember, let's go back a little to Jackass. How many people would you get? But one thing got me.
You have no idea. Jackass.
That's the shit we did as kids.
We
didn't film.
That was a brilliant idea. I'm like, if I only had a camera and filmed the shit that me and my friends did.
That's what I think the appeal was. But the one thing that got me years ago, Steve O came here. He went to a bar, and he had people lining up to kick them in the ding-dong. Now, how fucking stupid are you to have some guy kicking you in the nads? And you're going to brag about that?
No, but the problem is when you get to that point, you have to keep that shit up, otherwise you're forgotten.
But that was like, if he was going to a bar, that's probably when he still had addiction issues.
Yeah,
it was a show. He made an appearance. It wasn't like he actually made the appearance.
Right, but like, I mean...
Nowadays, he's cleaned up. I don't think he even goes to bars anymore.
I don't know if he would do that now.
Yeah. I used to crash my bike all the time. It was all the stuff we used to do, shopping carts.
Yeah, but I am glad that he did clean up, because deep down, I think a lot of people really... Because he is a good-hearted human being deep down.
I think there's a lot of people that, they lose their way or some way, somehow. They get caught in some type of...
shitstorm.
Yeah.
And I admit, watching...
I root for him. I hope, look, man, get out of this. It's your choice. So you need to make the choice to get out of it. Yeah. It's nobody else's responsibility. You're the one that made the choice to do A, that got you to B. Now make the choice to move to C.
Right.
And I admit, too, like watching the Jackass movies, I got a kick out of the outtakes at the end because it does look like it's a bunch of guys having fun together.
Yeah.
It looks like a reunion, like they're buddies, and it's like a fun thing for them.
You look at it, you can tell they'd probably do that even if they weren't filming. They just seem to enjoy it. So, kudos to those guys for creating a billion-dollar empire.
But going back to that, it's look, they're filming this, right? And I guarantee you they have medical staff there.
Oh, absolutely.
They've got people watching to make sure. And then somebody sees it, oh, wait, we can do that. They don't have the precautions set up in case something goes wrong. And it goes wrong. And there's part of me says, you're a moron for not recognizing that.
Well, and the thing, they always put it on. They're like, oh, well, clearly they're okay. Yeah, because they aired it. If something bad happened, they wouldn't put it on the air.
Right.
You would read about it on
Now, I've seen one of the things about the internet that got me is like, we'll be out to dinner somewhere. We'll see these people at a table. They're texting each other while they're at the table.
Oh, yeah. I'll be the first to admit, sometimes, I'm out with my family, we go to dinner, and so I've got an Apple Watch. The watch kind of vibrates. That means I got in, and I look. It's like Pavlov's dog. Oh, and I'm thinking, is it work, right? And if it's work, I'm doing something. And after I get done, I'm like, what am I doing, man? Like, I'm with my family. Like, put the phone down.
You're now a slave to the device.
So I honestly try to make a conscious effort to not do that. And sometimes I succeed, and sometimes I fail.
One of our guests, one of my friends here, Kyle Vach, he said that he was telling me when we were out one day, we started talking about technology, and he said he finally has to turn his phone off because he said he would be addicted to his emails. He would check his emails every 15 minutes.
And I know for people like, you or my dad especially, he's constantly checking his phone because he gets a lot of work emails, and it could be something very important.
Well, the one thing I will say, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, my phone is on silent.
Oh, Lord.
Doesn't ring.
That's when people start calling the cemeteries.
Doesn't do anything. No. So, people can call me, but, it was to the point, it wouldn't be like that ring, okay, go drink your water, Pavlov's dog, right?
Right.
I would look at it when I had time. And then I made the mistake of getting an Apple Watch.
Uh-oh.
That's synced.
Because you can't turn it off.
Right.
The
It's
noise,
synced.
can you?
It's, no. So there's no noise from the watch, but it vibrates. Like you get a phone call, it vibrates, and you look, and I can see who's calling. Now I got to figure out, can I unsync it?
I just have to say,
which I probably can,
because everybody talks about how fast technology is advancing. Look at the Apple Watch. Wasn't that in the Dick Tracy comics about 100 years ago?
Yeah.
And now we've somehow caught up with 1920s detective comics.
Hey, think about the person that developed Apple and kind of built. He grew up around that stuff.
And I think Tesla actually had ideas for some of this stuff actually way back when.
Well, he was an alien.
Yeah.
So,
but the other thing is you get fake book and everything, and again, I think it has its positives in terms of connecting, staying in touch with people.
Yeah, I think there is a positive to social media around, and I hear everybody's heard me say I hate it, I can't stand it. I'm making a lot of money off it because I've invested in it. So there's my disclaimer.
But you can hate what benefits you.
There's a benefit to staying in touch with people. Like grandparents being able to see, they can't make an event because maybe they live in a different state than where their kids are, and their kid is videotaping or taking pictures of their grandson or granddaughter doing something, and they immediately see it. So I think that's great. Getting in touch with people you grew up with and then lost touch. I think it's kind of brought people a little bit closer from that aspect. But people that sit there and think whatever they see, read on the internet is fact and is accurate, I'm really, really worried.
And the thing that gets me is a lot of the people who are the amateur political geniuses don't know what the hell they're talking about.
You know how many times I've typed something, I've literally typed something, and then said delete.
No,
I've just delete because I'm I'm not going down that path.
And you can tell people desperate for attention, the look at me aspect.
Yeah, the part that I get, and I guess John would love this part of the conversation.
We'll do part 2 when
you
get
have,
back from the lake.
Yeah, but you have, you're either a Republican or a Democrat, and that's it, and you've got blinders on, and take the blinders off, people. Yeah. All I want people to do is fix shit. Just fix shit.
Well, for example,
just fix it.
After I would hear people, I would see posts. If you're get off my page, it's oh, you're showing tolerance there for other opinions, aren't you? Right there.
But I mean, think about it. Think about every election, period that you've been around. How often have you heard the following? Immigration. We need to fix immigration. The VA. We need to fix the VA. Women's rights, equal pay. By the way, that equal pay thing.
Yeah.
Look at the facts.
That's what I say.
Because
too. I've done this study.
If I'm running a school and I hire a male teacher and a female teacher, they're being paid the same. If I'm an engineer and I own a company that does engineering work or whatever, and I'm hiring a male engineer or a female engineer, they're being paid the same. What the data that they're giving is more historical on where women used to go and where men would go. So yes, the disparity between the pay gap between those two genders is off based on the amount of women would go to, whether right or wrong, they tended to go to jobs that paid less and men went to jobs that paid more. That's changing. But if you look specifically within the job, within the industry, the pays are the same.
Yeah, I mean, they make it sound okay, I'm a female, you're a male, we get the same jobs, I get paid less.
But you hear this all the time. You hear, helping out the homeless, helping the misfortunate, helping kids, education. It's the same shit every fucking election.
You want to do something?
Everyone.
I'll give you an example.
Dude, here's an idea. Pick a topic. VA. All right, we're going to work on the VA today. That's what you're going to work on today. You're going to go into a room. Yeah. And you're going to say, here's the problem. And before we leave, we're going to fix it. Forget all the, hey, if you want my vote for this, you got to approve a $300,000 grant for a paper plate museum in my district.
The Moose Day.
Fuck that. Fix the goddamn problem.
Moose Day, because when I was on the Hill, one bill got held up for eons, an appropriation bill, because somebody wanted on there for a National Moose Day.
What the fuck? Really?
I just celebrated National Moose Day, to be honest.
Here's my point. If you voted for that fucker,
shame.
Just fucking leave. Leave.
And the other thing, go back to the 1950s, run an ad for the Stevenson Eisenhower campaign. It's the same shit. I will cut taxes. I will do that.
You hear the same
Let's go back to the
Lincoln
Douglas debates. They probably mentioned similar shit.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Sitting on those train cars.
Remember, they would talk for 3 hours, and we have a sound bite.
But it's literally, you tell people what they want to hear.
Yeah. And then you don't deliver.
Well, it becomes vote for me, and I'll give you stuff,
right,
too.
You're going to get free shit. Vote for me, vote for me. I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you this. Hell, we just had the debates, the Democratic debates.
Oh.
And look, here's my disclaimer.
Spoilers.
I could not stand I went 5 minutes in. I'm like, fuck this. Turned it off.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't bother.
I get my comments now are not based on me watching the whole thing. Completely understand that. But holy shit. Everything I've read, seen, and by the way, this is the guy that listens to MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, NPR, try to really have a wholehearted, a rounded view of everything. I haven't heard one goddamn plan on how they're going to pay for the shit, except for Bernie Sanders, who did say that he would tax transactions on Wall Street.
Which is what Bill Gates said. You tax the capital gains shit. That's where you're going to get your money, because most of these billionaires don't have income.
They already tax the capital gains. As soon as you go and take that money out, you're getting crushed.
Right.
It's the dividends.
Oh yeah.
Where they're not getting the tax level.
That's an
untapped
market.
How often have you heard, we're going to fix the tax code? We're going just fix it then. What the fuck? Get in a room. Here's what we're going to work on today, people. It happens in business all the time. all the time.
Oh, I know.
And in the government, they can't get out of their own goddamn way.
But then I look at the old saying from Pogo, I see animated as us. I look like Ocasio-Cortez. Somebody can elect a dum-dum like that.
Oh, my God.
I mean, really, you think, how do you look at the people and go, well, look what you elected?
She, I feel really, really bad for the youth of today if they think that is the solution. There's part of me that says, everybody, Rome was the greatest empire, way, 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 way back then.
Mongols are bigger.
Well, yeah, okay.
They were a lot bigger.
All right, that's it.
But
Coming soon, historical dynasty debates.
But Rome failed because all of a sudden, these people had these wacky views of what they and I think dude, is that us?
It was the corn laws. Corn laws because people were started. It was the corn laws because people started. They bankrupted the thing, giving goodies and bread and circuses.
But are we sitting
saw
there
that episode of
watching
Star
Nero play his violin, while Rome's burning?
And the stuff she says
Oh,
just
my
out
God.
like how utterly doesn't even live in her district.
You know who she reminds me of though? This is Marty Friedman.
Marty Feldman.
Marty Feldman.
Igor from Young Frankenstein.
But here's why. Crazy eyes.
Yeah.
She's got those freaking crazy eyes.
But
man.
what do you think about having a requirement that before you can run for office, you've had to have actually done something in the real world? You even worked at McDonald's.
Well, no, she was a bar. I mean, she bartended. She actually tried to start a business. What I like, this is going to sound really bad. What I like about where she came from, she was just a normal.
Yeah, she was just random.
She felt passionate enough to run. She had her platform and she ran. And she ran against a guy who thought, shoo in, I've been in this position for 40 years. I don't have to do anything. By the way, probably wasn't even doing anything when he was in office, right? Because the fact that he didn't even go out and campaign.
Yeah.
And she won. Awesome. She did it. I mean, I would love to do that.
I wish you would, or somebody would who knows what they're doing.
While it may not be good, that particular example, it is good to kind of switch to shake it up.
Yeah, and
because these old guards have to realize we have to do shit, or people are going to vote us out of office.
I think the problem is,
but I think that's one of the.
That was a good thing that
that's
she did.
one of the reasons why Trump got elected.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons she got elected.
Absolutely,
because people are sick,
tired of the same shit,
sick of it.
And I think also it comes more toward almost like marketing and advertising than any quality candidate. But an interesting thing about one of our senators, Gillibrand, she comes from a political family. She was going to lose her seat. She was not going to win. She's going to get beat when she ran for the House. She found tape of the representative beating his wife and put it out a week before election. That's how she got elected.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah, I got no problems with that.
You do what you got to do.
But I just think she's
what I have a problem with is Clinton, Hillary, never lives in the state of New York.
Oh, she had a house here. You shush.
No. She comes, takes the seat, then goes to handed Gillibrand that seat. And by the way, they were all hey, no, you can't do no wrong. And now you got the Me Too movement. And wait a minute, you supported Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
I
sent her an email saying, "What about your own party?" That's what I said. I actually sent her an email
Bill
saying,
Clinton,
"I'm very glad you're for all this, but what
rings.
about your party? What about the people in your party?"
Yeah, she's. I don't know. Whatever happened to? You go, you sign up, campaign, get into office, do your 4 years, 6 years, and then go back to the private sector. What happened to that concept?
And it's funny how many of these characters come out as millionaires from when they go in office.
And then they say it's because they wrote a book.
Now, actually, I have a thought. You know how the do you think things would benefit if you increased the term limit from 2 years to 4 years for Congress? Because you think about it, they get in office, they're immediately already trying to get reelected.
Well, they're
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
try.
so
So
that's
do
a good,
senators,
that's,
so that's the thing.
that's a good statement.
Because they have no time to actually do anything because they're worried about getting reelected. Whereas a governor,
Constant campaigners, as they say, chronic campaigners, they call them.
yeah, but whereas you have governors,
That's actually not a
mayors,
bad idea, yeah.
other elected officials
I had
are 4,
something-
and then senators
I
are
admit,
6.
I wish I saw when Hillary was running for Senate. She appeared on David Letterman, and they gave her a bunch of questions about New York that they fed her answers to. I would have loved
Not
if somebody
shocked by
would have
that.
got them. I would have loved if somebody would have got those answers and messed them up.
Oh.
It's like, what's the bird of New York? Not the blue jay. It's a toasted cheese sandwich, and everybody could have laughed at her.
Yeah, exactly.
But I actually, that's actually a really good comment. I never looked at it that way, and I could get behind that. But what I would also want with that is an actual term limit.
Right.
You can't serve more than
So
2 terms.
we don't need another
in
Strom Thurmond.
Congress. You can't serve more than 2 terms as a senator. You can, like.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
what about
end
it's like
this
it's
bullshit.
like the governorship of Virginia. You get 1 term and you're out. That's it.
Or to quote one of our more favorite people, Mr. Mayor Glenn Jacobs down in Knox County, Tennessee, their mayor is limited by law to 2 terms.
It should be like that for any public
So
office.
why is it that
Well,
they,
that's what
they
it was
term limit the
made.
president, but nobody that makes actual decisions?
When the founders founded the system, this idea was like George Washington. He spent most of his time on his farm. You weren't meant to be a career. You served, you got out.
Yeah.
Right. But hey, you can get elected to office. You can run the state of New York, and you get to vote for yourself to have a $70,000 pay raise.
And remember gerrymandering.
While the state is going fucking bankrupt.
Remember
They're already bankrupt.
Well, already I saw.
going
Why do you think we have
bankrupt?
fireworks here now? Because we need the money.
Yeah.
It's like no smoking fireworks. You can't-
I did hear something really interesting the other day, and it was around. I was talking with an individual. We were talking about college and expenses and all that, and he says, well, in the state of New York, you have a decreasing population. I says, yeah. We all know that. We're well aware of that. He says, well, the impact that's going to have on the SUNY schools, because you're getting less and less kids going to those schools, which is then going to create an even bigger deficit, because you still have the expense of running the school, but you have less money coming in because all these kids that eventually will be school age to potentially go to a SUNY school, their parents are moving out and they're going to a different state, and those kids are now going to schools in those states.
Right.
And I'm like, I never even took it to that level.
That actually is. That's kind of frightening if you think about it.
Like,
because there's a lot of SUNY schools.
He says there is going to be a day of reckoning within the SUNY schools where you're just not going to be able to keep open a SUNY Prattsburgh or Potsdam or whatever, or Brockport, because
look at how much up
a
until
lot of
this
people is just diminishing.
Look at how much up until this point the funding has been cut for them, and they've had to slash all these.
Well,
programs.
there's a lot of little ones
And
all the
a
way
lot of-
through upstate New York from here to Albany. There's all a bunch of small ones. I'll meet somebody. Oh, where'd you go? SUNY.
On Oneonta.
Oneonta. I can't even think of the name I was thinking of. Where I knew a girl who went to one.
some of those schools, if you think about it, like that community, that's a big revenue stream for
what's
that
all they got?
community.
What else
Yeah,
is in
Oswego.
Well, what else is in by SUNY New Paltz? What else is there?
Old
Good
Point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know where the hell it is.
Old Paltz. Yeah, but everybody moved
St.
out. They went to New Paltz
Yeah.
because nobody liked Old Paltz. That's the other side of the
The other
tracks.
thing, we were talking about the internet in terms of like bullying and stuff.
Oh,
Like
Christ.
for kids, or like the thing about, aren't I great? Like on Facebook, I'm so great. My life is so great. Look at me, and your life's just as bad as all the rest of ours.
Speaking of that, reminded me of something I wanted to bring up earlier. Doesn't it piss you off when you see on the book somebody says, "Oh, what a tragedy! My life is terrible." You're like, "Hey, what's the matter?" "I don't want to talk about it." Then why the fuck did you write it?
I felt like saying somebody was whining about something, and I felt like saying, "Hey, my dad's in hospice. I'm dealing with a lot of stuff. You think your life is bad?" And the thing I don't like saying too is I put notes like about my dad and stuff on there, and I feel weird. I see people. I find out friends' parents' things died on there.
Yeah.
But the only way I can't call 100 of you.
Right.
So I have to do it like that. But I don't like attention. But I know people want to know.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
But I see somebody whining about, well, I didn't get this today. I'm like, you know how my life is?
Yeah. That's like,
To me, that's a tough one because some people use it as an outlet just to get it off their chest, right?
Right.
And I can't fault, like, if that's what you have to do in order to kind of get your head right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Go for it, right? Hopefully you have other people around you that can be a little bit more of a support than just the internet, right? In your internet
Well, that's
friends.
why they say there's a lot of shallow things. Like there's the meme where he had nobody at his funeral. I can't imagine he had 3,000 Facebook friends.
Yeah, exactly.
In the bullying, I think is where social media is a big negative. And I say this all the time. I think there's part of me that says it's definitely harder to be a kid.
Yeah.
Today than it was when we were growing up.
Well,
I mean,
well, you kids, all you kids out there,
documented
Look at that kid that survived the Parkland shooting. Yeah. Got into Harvard on merit, unlike other Parkland survivors, and then they revoked his invitation because of an old social media post.
Yeah.
Well, I had
and
the
now
one.
He has no college.
I had the one where I was doing stuff one time, and I got the vacuum nozzle on my groin. And my biggest thing is nobody. But then I'm thinking, what if there's a camera in here and it ends up on YouTube?
What do you mean? What if there was a camera in there? I was there when that happened.
But getting back to the kid, right? I mean, I feel bad for that kid. Yeah. Like he made a stupid mistake back when he was, I think it was 13 or something like that.
14 or 15.
He made a really dumb mistake. But there's part of me that says, you should have known that was a really stupid comment.
Well, that's another thing. Like, all these celebrities.
But now, here's the internet, right? Yeah. Because it's on the internet, that's stuck with him for life.
Yeah. And my
it ain't
other thing,
going anywhere.
I want to talk to the kids out here listening to this show if you're old enough, because we are rated R or whatever.
We're pirates.
Their lives ain't that great on Facebook. Don't believe it. Everybody thinks. And one of the things I can admit, I get
it's not just Facebook though. Yeah. I mean, the kids today it's more Snapchat, and they think, but it's it's Snapchat. As soon as you open it, it disappears. No, it isn't.
No, it disappears from your phone.
But it's still one of the ones. Somewhere. How many times has anybody seen this? Somebody's in a relationship all of a sudden on Facebook. They are in love. Everything, but then they break up, and it's like an old Russian. The person is gone. No, the person is gone. It's like it's like Stan. The person never existed anymore. What was the true love? But I have a question because we talked about high school then and now, and I had my, you guys were great. You got me through there because otherwise I really hated school.
I don't know a lot of people that actually like school, and if you like school, then that means you really hate your life.
No, I hated it. But one of the things I'm going to toss out, a little thing I found, and I looked it up. Did you realize, Illinois does it. There's a school in Illinois that are doing it now. For prom, they're having a lottery, and they're going to put you with the date because they don't want anybody excluded.
You
can look it up.
Are you kidding me?
No, you can look it up. I looked it up before I came here to make sure.
Well, wait, was it on the internet?
Well, but I checked it.
But it's got to be true.
It's got to be true.
No, I checked it. I researched it.
And you made sure it was on Facebook, too.
No, it wasn't on Facebook.
It wasn't
on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's not on Facebook. I don't know if it's true, man.
Did you read
Everybody
it on
has to be included, so...
Was there a Yelp review?
They do lotteries, and they put you with the date because they don't want anybody excluded.
You know what? I'll speak from that. In all the time I was in high school, I went to one of those big dances. I went to homecoming my senior year. I asked people to prom. I didn't go. I didn't turn fucking... You're not seeing me on Investigation Discovery. Yet.
Like, holy shit. Are you serious?
Yes.
First off,
I researched it. No, I'm not joking. I didn't want to. This is not like a Rob joke on here.
Then I'm going to take this as fact because I haven't looked at it.
I'll send you the thing. I'll send you the link.
Holy fucking hell. Holy hell. Like, can we coddle kids any fucking more? Like, are you what's stopping a kid for just going? Just go. Just grab a bunch of friends and go. You don't have to go with another person. Yeah. You can go by yourself.
Or just go to after prom. A lot of people do that.
Well, look, my kid just went to his junior prom. And they literally, first off, here's the thing with prom. It's more so the parents can take a bunch of pictures. And typically it's the mom that wants to take a bunch of pictures with their daughter in a dress and their son in a suit, right? And the grandparents get to see it, and it's posted on Facebook, and everybody, look how great my kids look. Awesome. I'm glad you feel proud for your kids. That's pretty much what prom is, including the senior ball. Because when they actually go to wherever it is, they're there maybe a half hour, and then it's going to someplace and hanging out with your friends.
This is what I heard.
Right. And you got a school now that's doing a lottery so a kid doesn't feel... Oh, wait, hold on. Because let's think about the maturity of kids. So now, let's say you are the hot chick on campus, the big man on campus, right?
And you get stuck with a schlub
and
like
you get drawn somebody else, right?
You get the booger eater.
So okay,
because they
still have them, right? So now you're telling me that now that person isn't going to get bullied because of who they got selected to go with.
Well, one other thing is,
I honestly can see this turning into like the new version of Carrie. And by the way, not only is it the new version of Carrie, it's fucking sponsored by the school.
What you think you get with your buddies anyways and just dump those people?
Yeah.
But the thing is,
suppose
it's
like, okay, I'm going to go there. We're supposed to hang out. You had this.
I wonder if they chaperone it all.
You're going with the socially awkward kid, and he or she is thinking, okay, I got to hang out, and we're going to hang out and do all this stuff, and then you show up, and then they split and they go into their cliques anyhow. Holy fucking hell!
I guarantee you they have.
Hold on, and you literally have people that are running the school that thought this was a good idea.
No, but they're going to have the court-appointed chaperone to mandate that they have at least one.
The other one I
dance.
would get. Suppose you're in a relationship,
can't believe
suppose
it.
you're in a relationship in high school and you think it's serious. It's high school, so it's probably not. But you are. So you have to go out with whomever you can go.
Yeah, but what you're going to do is the person that you're dating, you're just going to go together as a couple with the person you got assigned to go to.
Yeah.
Now
But
you don't know.
The fact that the school the PTA, the school board, the superintendent, the principal, whoever thought that this was a really good idea and then approved it, get them the fuck out of your school district.
Well, you can tell that whoever...
Get them the fuck out of office.
I could say
Holy
this too.
fucking hell.
I could say this too. If we were in high school and they said we had to be friends, we wouldn't be friends now.
Yeah.
Because you meet your friends, you make your friends.
That's the thing. People naturally rebel against things that they're told they have to do.
And I have to say, too, like all these years later, I'm a lot more popular in high school than I was then. It's amazing how people...
How many...
You know,
I'm stuck on this one, Rob.
I'll mail it to you. I will send you the thing to show you it's true, too.
Okay, I want to see the data of how many people got selected to go, and they got whoever they got paired up with, not going.
No.
Not
well, you
going.
know the whole thing. I don't know if you know the classic story. The classic story for me, me and a bunch of my buddies. And I will mention some names like Moondog Dave. Some of them, we had an anti-prom, and I heard like one friend of mine. He's like, "You're going to prom?" I'm like, "Fuck no!" And he gave me this look like my life was going to end. Like, and one of our teachers, Sister Marlene, gave this big spiel in class about, "Oh, if you don't go, you'll regret it." And it's like, and then I talked to people who went. Nobody I knew who I talked to had a really good time, and they left. Like,
look, there's things that I did when I was a kid. Hell, there was things I did like a week ago that I regret. Right? I mean, that's
things
part
I did on the drive over
that's
here.
That's part of life. You make a decision, and guess what? You own the decision and deal with it. If you didn't go to prom and you regret it now, hey, you made the decision, deal with it, move on. Yeah. If you went to prom and had a crappy time, you made the decision to go to but deal with it, move on. Like we want to bubble wrap everybody, and nobody can have their feelings hurt. No, everything's got to be handed to people.
Prepares you for life good, doesn't it, man? Doesn't it really prepare you
man.
for life?
What
really?
The
I want this job. You can't have it. You're not qualified. But I want it.
What the
But it scares me because doesn't it? I would even say stuff's like say for stalking because I want to date this person. They won't date me, but it's me. You got to,
Yeah, but I want it.
I did go to the senior banquet.
You hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Give me a safe place.
I did go to.
You're going to have to go out.
I did go to the senior banquet though. That one I went to. Big fucking deal.
Did we have a senior banquet?
Me and Ron Stein were there because we were like, I remember like
what
Ron
was the
and I.
Senior? I don't remember.
It was at Plantation Pines, and we went off to like by Durand for a while and hung out. I mean, I know Ron was there because I hung out with them.
Maybe I was
might
there.
have
I don't even
pictures.
remember this. I honestly don't. I have no idea if I went or not.
Well,
I was there
growing up in Pennsylvania.
all it was like for the
If we did,
cliques to like pat themselves on the back, and I just didn't give a shit. I really didn't. That's the one thing people don't realize. Oh, how are you in high school? I didn't care. I really did.
Dude, high school, I showed up and I went home. I showed up, did my thing.
I did my one asshole thing, and I admit this. When I was in college, I got a chip on my shoulder. I went back during an open house to tell some teachers off that I thought were dicks to me and other people. And I feel like, how immature, but it's like I want to say, look, you know what I'm doing now? No thing to you.
At that point, look, I'm going to prove them wrong. Like, I'm going to go and throw it back in their face. You did it, right? I got no problem with that.
I had a teacher, I won't mention her, but she, for some reason, didn't like me or Darren. And she said that these two aren't AP material. So I went back during open house and I told her,
you're one of the smartest kids in our school.
I said, do you know where I am in history in my college? You know what I'm doing? But I'm not AP material, am I? And then she's trying to say, oh, he's one of my proteges. Like, you tried to discourage me.
Dude, I had a teacher tell me if I
if
I didn't take this class seriously, I'm going to be pumping gas for the rest of my life. Like, he literally said that.
It's clear you took the class seriously because you're not pumping
gas.
Fuck that,
man.
You have to do one. You have to tell
by the way, hold on. By the way, now I wish I would have. But back then, it was like, to me, a school was just a means to the, like, high school was a means to the end. Get in, get out. That was it.
We have to tell a Mike story. We have to tell this one because it's funny and we love you, Mike, and you'll appreciate this. We had a dress code.
Oh, yeah.
So now
this is great.
We have to, if you could tell it better than me, because I sat there. I was zero and they got him.
So social studies class, right? And so there was a dress code for the school that we went to. You had to have a tie, button-up shirt, slacks or corduroys, and you had to have dress shoes or like a pair of boots or something, like nice pair. Like, you couldn't wear sneakers. So you couldn't wear sneakers. Couldn't wear flip-flops either, right? So Mike shows up, and he's got these black soccer indoor sneakers on. And he's got a nice pair of slacks on, a button-up shirt with the tie. I mean, he's
looking good.
Even
for Mike. I mean, as good as Mike can
look. He looked good, right? And so Mike worked for my father at a party house restaurant. In the restaurant, you wore boots because stuff could fall.
Right,
grease.
And grease specifically, and corduroy pants, and you had to wear a white shirt because you'd have to go out and bring the food out to the people, right? Well, so we're in this class, and the teacher stops him as he's walking in. This is not uniform appropriate. You have sneakers on. Go see Brother Raymond. So he leaves. Brother Raymond's, look, it's not appropriate. You need to go home and change. He's like, okay, fine. So he goes home, and he puts on the work uniform, which by definition is appropriate. So he's got these corduroy pants on that are like there's burn spots in it and like grease stains on them. And he's got his work boots on, which I think if you lit them on fire, they'd still be burning with the amount of shit that was on them. And he's got his work shirt on from like the night before that wasn't washed. And he looked like a train wreck.
Well, the tie was like this little thing.
And he's just like this skinny tie, right? And he walks right in. And you gotta understand, Mike in life in general comes across as the nicest guy, sweetest guy. But dude, he's
got this barbed wit. I was his locker mate for 4 years. Remember, I was like next to him.
He can really fool guys. And he shows up. And he walks in and looks at the teacher. You happy now? And everybody just busts up laughing.
Well, that was like
and he wore it the rest of the day. He's like, fuck them.
Hey, it's true. But the El Drago incident would got me too, because the one guy, that was one of the best remarks ever.
Oh, he so Mike was in this class that and it was Spanish, by the way, and I did not take it seriously at all. I figured out how to kind of scam the system because I always sat in the second seat. There was a person sat right in front of me in the second seat. So when you have to do homework, the teacher would go down the rows, right, and just look at your homework. Or he'd ask you, okay, question 1, question 2. So I always knew I had to do question 2 right. I always had to do question 1 because if Pat didn't show up, I was question 1. And then I counted how many seats if he went the other way. And I made sure I did like question 24 and 25. And occasionally I would do another one. And if I missed one and he'd get to me, I'd be like, oh, you know what? I had a really hard time with that one. Right? I would do that. Right? So we take this test, and didn't take anything serious, whatever. And Mike sat like 4 rows, opposite corner, and I get the test, and I'm like, dude, man, I failed miserably on it. I had like a 50. And Mike, from the back of the room, opposite corner, hey, Jeff, what'd you get? I'm like, dude, and I'm like, we didn't care. I'm like, I got a 50. What'd you get? He goes, I got a half a point. I'm like, half a point? And the whole class is here, including the teacher. How do you get a half a point? He's like, well, I spelled the word right, but I didn't put that stupid little squiggly mark above a letter. And the teacher's like, will you guys stop it? I'm like, hey, Mike, how'd you only get a half a point? What'd you put for, like, you had to put the Spanish word for cheese. He goes, El Chizo. I fucking died. I think I fell out of my chair. I was laughing so hard.
No, I had the one. I'll leave high school with. What happened was Sammy DeLucia one time was in the health office, and he stole a bunch of the statute of limitations. Though he stole a bunch of the slips to get out of class. Oh, so he would come by and he would get me and Rob out of class. He'd say they want to see you. So what happened was, we were walking down the hall, and said teacher, who we signed the name for, was there. So we just started booking down the hall, and he didn't know us. But every time he would give me looks.
Yeah, I mean, there was statute of limitations. The school's closed, so
yeah,
they can't do anything.
Yeah, they got nothing.
I mean, I look back on, school was a means to end, but I met some really good people there.
I did too. When I actually look back, I'm not bitter about it.
I probably got a better education going there than if I went someplace else. Yeah. I look back on it, I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah, I don't resent it. I don't like, some people I couldn't stand. I don't see them.
Yeah.
But I had my fun. I can't say I didn't have my fun. Then I look at it, I had a lot more simple life than I have now.
Oh, dude,
back in the day,
everybody, man.
But I was going to say, just
catch the bus.
Before the next episode, though, you said Overkill sucked when you saw them?
Terrible.
They were?
They were terrible. I mean, the PA was horrendous. The sound was horrendous. The opening band was unbelievable. They sounded phenomenal. Death Angel sounded phenomenal. Overkill, I would not. Probably be the last Overkill show I go see. That's how bad they were.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's like, because I was thinking,
there's some really good shows coming this. Yeah, I guess the one good here's a good thing about the internet and streaming music. Bands can't make money off of selling records, so they have to tour more. So now you have more. So now you have more opportunity to see bands.
Well, I saw Jason Isbell a week ago. I saw Michaela played at Lincoln Hills, and I got caught in the Michael McDonald crowd going up there because you have to go for Lincoln Farms. You have to go by CMAC. But I saw Jason Isbell, Father John Misty, and Jadebird. Jadebird's got a really good voice. She's a British singer. I've seen Jason Isbell almost 10 times now.
I wanted to see him. My kid had a lacrosse banquet. I couldn't go to that one, but I wanted to definitely see that.
But the one thing we're going to talk about for the Toad people, you still do your motorcycle runs, huh? You were off around.
Yeah.
The Rolling Blunder tour.
The Rolling Blunder, yeah. I've been doing a motorcycle trip for, close to 30 years. Me and a group of guys, and, we travel through the New England states for the most part, and it's usually like a 4-day trip, and it's evolved over the years. It used to be like everybody in one room because we couldn't afford anything, and now it's like, okay, wherever we're going to stay, they have to have covered parking because we got to make sure our bikes don't get wet. I mean, pretty pathetic, but
times change.
Yeah, but bike trips are starting up, and now that my kids are older, I can actually do more of them. So I actually did one last week. I went to Thousand Islands, and then me and Sheldon are talking about going to Erie. For a bike run and just like ride out and then ride back.
But it's always it's always fun everything doing these. It's cool, and we'll have you. But we should probably pretty soon look for those dudes who were looking for you. Jeff and Rob and everybody. Jeff, Rob and Mike somewhere. John's at a lake. I don't know where you want to start with Steve.
They got smartphones. Eventually, it'll figure out. Just put Google Maps.
Through the power of social media, we're going to create the patent pending Find Bauman.
But what if Mike
Where's
got by
Bauman
a Twizzlers
now?
Factory?
What?
What if Mike's at a Twizzlers factory?
I thought they had pictures.
So we have to say one outrage about New York. Didn't you have an outrage about New York? You want to tell Jeff about?
Oh,
yeah, I got to hear it, man.
To close this one up. The company, or the franchise company I own, that Rob and I do work for, I find out that I don't have any money to pay the workman's comp insurance. Rob can't come on jobs anymore. So, me being the owner, obviously I don't qualify for workman's comp if something happens. So this past week, I did all the work that needed to be done for the end of this month myself. And when you go into certain buildings after hours, obviously they shut off the air conditioning. I'm sweating my balls off. There's no water coolers in any of these places. And yesterday, I get a goddamn kidney stone, which is still bothering me.
Oh, my God.
Because I got too dehydrated. But then I found out how much the workman's comp premium is. It's more, I think, and I might do a retraction on this later if I'm proven wrong. The weekly premium is more money than both he and I would make combined if we worked a full week.
Well,
for the payoff. And I believe the only state worse is, as the newspapers just branded them, California, the only third world state in the United States.
So workers' compensation, I know a lot about workers' comp.
Is boning the hell out of me.
New York State is pretty diligent on making sure that companies have it, and there's massive fines associated with it if you don't. California is the same way. New Jersey is another state, and Florida is another. But Florida, you don't have to have workers' comp until you hit your fifth employee.
Okay.
But
I think.
I mean, the cost for workers' compensation is
it's exorbitant. It's outrageous.
But it also depends on the industry that you're in, right?
Right.
So if you're in an industry that deals with chemicals or
it's gonna be a hell of a lot higher.
heights or anything like that, like ladders and stuff like that, you're going to pay through the roof because the probability of somebody getting hurt is a lot greater. And workers' comp it's not just that job, but it could be something that developed over the course of you doing the job for years, and then workers' comp can kick in, and there's a lot of fraud involved in it.
And it's nothing to do with the franchise that I'm in. It's New York State slapping down these draconian restrictions on any business that comes in here. Not that you'd have any opinion on that, I don't think.
No, I mean, I think the regulations in general in a lot of states and by the federal government really hamper, growth. I do think the intent is correct. They want to make sure that people are safe and if something happens.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
The intent is there, but
the method is flawed.
The unintended consequence of some of the stuff that they do
the layers of dealing with my dad in the hospital and everything, all the layers of bureaucracy, and everybody's looking for some little cash. Yeah. But that's the thing but we were going to play a Gothic Toad song. We got shot down again. Yeah. So if you want to have a last word, but there might be shirts down the line. They might cost you your house mortgage. But...
Yeah, I mean, we're thinking about we might dip our toe in the merchandising field. If we do, we'll probably donate all the money to a personal charity that's really near and dear to my heart, and it's called My Mortgage. So
I was going to say my bills.
No, I'm keeping it for me, man. Really.
Yeah. Hey, charity begins at home. Don't forget.
Exactly. And by the way, it keeps at home within my pocket, not my wife's, not my kids, mine.
Sorry, family.
Yeah, they can fend for themselves. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, we're exploratory stages right now, and we'll see where it goes.
So we'll have all the gang back if we can find them. If we can find the lake that John's at.
Through the power of social media and the fine Bauman app,
glad to have you on, and happy 4th if this is up before or after. It's around then.
Yeah. Happy celebrate your country's independence by blowing up a small part.
There's always stories to tell.
Hey, I heard this from Dave Blodgett. Make sure you buy fireworks from the guy that only has 3 fingers, because he's definitely got the best ones.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen,
that's all we got.
We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.